Oh no, I've run my own live broadcast before. It's always
great. I know, right?
Yeah.
You're a producer and entertainer at the same time, and we are live.
Yay!
Hey everybody, I'm Liz Dawn, and today I've got somebody really exciting with me today. I've got Hale Dwoskin, and he is the New York Times best-selling author of the Sedona Method and creator of the Sedona Method. And welcome, Hale. So
Well,
great.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You were part of the Celebrate Your Life Online Soul Fest.
Yes.
And your interview was just absolutely fabulous. I'm totally fascinated by everything that you've been teaching. And you've been doing this a long time, the Sedona Method.
Oh, yeah. Right? I've been doing this since 1976. A long time.
Oh, since you were about 10 years old?
No, since I was 22.
Okay, let's all do the math now. Well, it's great to have you with us today on Facebook Live. And if you're joining us, shout out, say hey to me, hey to Hale. It's so great to have him here. We've got Wendy here. We've got a bunch of other people, but you're all being shy. So make sure that you just tell me that the sound is okay, that everything sounds good, looks good. All right, Julie's here. Hi. So tell me a little bit about the background with the Sedona Method. And I just want to make it really clear. The name of the book is the Sedona Method, and the process is called the Sedona Method.
Yes.
And it's really a process, right?
Yes. No, it's just a simple technique that shows you how to let go of stress and tension and anxiety, anger, frustration, loneliness, and all the other craziness that we're being subjected to, both in our own worlds that we're living in, within our homes, or in our network of where we're able to relate to other people, since that's all still pretty restricted for most of us. And so it's always the case that there are always emotional challenges. But right now, oh my goodness, it's been turned up probably a few thousand%.
We were talking before we started the broadcast, and I said, God, shit is really hitting the fan. And I said, otherwise known as really being Meshuggah. And
Right.
Hale understood that.
Yes, I understood that.
How do you describe Meshuggah?
Crazy. Crazy. Things are crazy right now. That's the long and short of it.
And I can hear you're also from New York.
I am.
What part of New York are you from?
I was born in Brooklyn, New York.
Ah, so was my mom. And my family, part of my family still lives in Brooklyn in Park Slope.
Yeah. Park Slope. Oh, I lived a few years in Park Slope. I was born in Flatbush. No, actually, I was born in Park Slope. Sorry. Then I moved to Flatbush. Then I moved to the Heights, Brooklyn Heights.
So we could do like 6 degrees of New York and Jewish,
right.
6 degrees of separation, right?
Yeah, we probably could.
We're probably related somewhere back, right?
Right. You look like a lot of people I grew up with.
Exactly. Same here. I gotcha.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to get talking, you guys, about the Sedona Method. And I would love for you to share a little bit of background. Someone here saying, I just bought the money course. They love you.
That's great.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah.
So let's talk about that and the beginnings of it, and then how it's really related to what's happening today, what's going on today in our world.
Sure. Well, the beginnings of the Sedona Method is based on the work of my mentor and the man who inspired this work, Lester Levinson. And Lester was sent home to die in 1952 at age 42 from a second coronary. And that was just one of many health challenges that he had. And he thought it was fortunate because it caused him to go back to the lab within himself and look for a way out. And in through a process of self-inquiry, he realized that we have no limits, and the only limits that we actually have are the ones we're holding on to, and we don't have to. We can let them go. And once he discovered that, being a scientist and an engineer, he decided to try letting go. And as he just kept working at it and working at it and inquiring and trying to find out what's true and what wasn't, he, in a very short period of time, he went from a physical and emotional basket case into a state of profound peace that he lived another 42 years after the doctor gave him that death.
Wow. And so the state of, and I keep hearing a squeaking noise, and I don't know if it's on your end
or
mine.
I'm sorry, that's on my end. I have a bird. And
oh, that's what that is. I was like, oh, maybe
I should have said something. And she knows when I'm on Zoom or Facebook, and she's usually very quiet. She's a very quiet bird. But when I'm talking to other people, she wants to be participant. She wants to be a participant. So she's commenting.
Oh, that's so cute. Oh,
Yeah.
and I thought it was my sound. I was like, oh God, what did I do to my sound?
You didn't do it.
Bird, that's so adorable. Oh, and people are commenting that, okay, grandparents and mom, Flatbush, Manhattan, Brooklyn. Oh, and thank you, Shani. I appreciate that. Oh, that's so funny. Okay, so so this state of inquiry.
Yes.
Would you say that that state of inquiry undoes the story of our minds, undoes the story of that mental chatter and that drama place that we get into in order to get to the truth of who we are?
Oh, yes, it definitely does that. So what happens is when you really look at what's true and what isn't true, and I don't mean just, on a surface level. On the surface level, most of us are living in these little confined little boxes. We may be peeking out this much. I don't know if you can see me through that little, but most of us have layers of that, and we think it keeps us safe. We've erected layer upon layer upon layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of filters and armor and boxes and concepts and beliefs and suppressed emotion, and on and on and on, all based on what didn't go the way we wanted it to go in the past. And for most of us, that's one or two things, if not a lot more.
Like
and, yeah, one or two. I mean, and we identify with all that too. We think we're the one who has gone through all these struggles, and that makes us.
Right.
And that part where we get caught is the part of where we get caught is we feel like it's who we are. We feel like it makes us who we are. And we don't realize that who we are is beyond our stories, is beyond all those little boxes. It's the light that is illuminating that. It's the ground of being that comes out of. And that light and that beingness is unaffected by all our stories. It's the stories themselves are beating each other. Their stories are going like this to each other. The feelings, the thoughts, the beliefs, they're either doing this or this, or pretending that the other one doesn't exist, and because of that, we miss life. We can't live life fully because we're stuck in a story about what was or what might be, instead of dealing with what is. And when you let go, when you focus on what's actually here now, you can find ways to see through the boxes and the haze and the smoke and the who knows what. And as you keep doing that, as you keep letting go, then you see what's actually here, and you would deal with what's actually here. Most of us are dealing with what was and what might be, ignoring what is. And the only time you can do anything is now. And yet where most of us are rushing through the now, either to get back to all the good old days, or that goal, when I have it in the future, everything will be fine. And when we do that, we miss the exquisite beauty, both of whatever is happening in the world, even if it's as crazy it is right now. There's always beauty in it too. But there's also a beauty that has nothing to do with what's happening, that shines through if you just simply pay attention to what is. And plus, you deal more appropriately with what is. Especially right now, most of us are still trying to use old solutions, old habits, old ways of being to deal with something that hasn't happened in at least 100 years. Most of us were not alive during the last pandemic. Most of us weren't alive during the last time there was this much financial turmoil. This dwarfs 2008. Dwarfs it. There are still 30 million people out of work.
Right.
I don't even know if there were that many. I think, yes, there were during the Great Depression, but that's 90 years ago.
This is such a beautiful conversation and it's really, I mean, everything you're sharing is resonating and touching my heart, because it's when we strip away. So I'm just going to mirror this back to you and make sure that I'm.
Yeah, no, please. This is a conversation. I prefer conversation to lecture.
Okay, good. So what I'm hearing you say, and I would love everybody, for all of you to chime in on this as well. And when you've experienced this, to experience how our stories and the ideas that we've made up about our lives have affected us in ways that have stopped us or created a fear that has sort of prohibited our lives from moving forward in a certain direction.
Yeah.
And so what I hear you saying is that we become almost prisoners to these stories we make up, and almost become victims to that story in our behavior and in our lives. And what the Sedona Method does is untangle and undoes and strip away those stories to truth.
Well, it's actually, are you familiar with the story of the Gordian knot?
No.
I'll tell it really fast, because I want to get back to this discussion because it's fun, but it just reminded me of it. I don't remember which country it was, so I'm going to do it really, but there was a country when Alexander the Great was on his conquering quest. By the way, he's not called Alexander the Great if you live in the Orient. It's only us Westerners that call him that. He wasn't so great to all the countries he tried to conquer. But there was, and I don't remember which country it was, they had this ball of thread that was really tied together. And people were constantly trying to untie it, because it was said that whoever untied this knot would become the king of this country. And he stood on the side and watched people try doing it. I guess they must have been having an invitation or who knows what. I don't really know the details. But he watched everybody and he watched everybody. And then when it was his turn, he walked up, he pulled out his sword and he just cut the knot in half. And it became the king of that country. Everyone thought they had to go like this. And this is where we get caught too, is because we think we have to sort through it, figure it out, wonder why it's there. How am I going to make myself a better person? And how can I avoid this happening again? That's all predicated on being stuck in this thing to begin with. But when you learn to really get good at letting go, you just cut right through it. And you see what's actually here, what's actually now. And you feel the joy, the peace, the love, the beauty that's right within you, having nothing to do with the external world. And so it's an amazing, letting go the way we teach it, and in general, is an amazing shortcut And you don't need to know why you have a particular problem to just choose to let it go. We think we do. So we spend way too much time analyzing our problems, wondering where they came from, whose fault it is. Did I do something wrong? Did they do something wrong? On and on and on. And we can get so lost in that all it does is it makes our problems seem heavier, more real, more important. And we don't have a solution. But when you let go, you do start to see, you get insights. Oh, I see the behavior pattern that caused this. But if you try to find it first, you can spin forever. You can be, most of us are like a dog chasing our own tail, and we never seem to catch it.
I love this. And I know that my second in the company, Janice, she's the director of all of our events. She's probably jumping up with joy because she's been talking about this for quite some time. And she actually asked a question here. She said, are there coaching programs, and can other people learn how to teach the Sedona Method?
Well, we don't actually have a coaching program right now. We may have one in the future. We have what's called a facilitator program, where we train people. We begin the process that would be the beginning of the process for a coach, but it's not a certification program. And it's something that once you take, you're totally free to use this in whatever else you do. There are people all over the world using this with their clients, their patients, their students, their attendees at their seminars, and we're totally fine with that. And there's nothing you have to give back to the organization. The only thing we ask is that you let people know it's the Sedona Method, and you tell them how to reach us if they want to. But besides that, there's no strings attached and no limitations. Jack Canfield, who most of you will know, teaches people at least some of the Sedona Method whenever he's working with people, because he thinks it's that helpful. And the movie The Secret, I think close to half of the people in that movie use the Sedona Method because it's that helpful. So it is a way to sort through this. And right now we need that. We really do. We instead of trying to deal with life like this, this can get really uncomfortable. And who knows? Yeah, or sticking your shoulders in your ears. You can maybe do that short, or both together, right? Exactly. That can get really old. And but when we do it enough, we don't even realize we're doing it anymore.
Right.
Because you think it's natural.
Right. Or we're making excuses in our lives for not doing things based on old paradigms and old belief systems that just no longer serve us.
Oh, absolutely.
Made up. So can you give us a couple of just ideas of, I don't expect you to teach it here, but maybe just a couple of tips or a couple of insights as to how the process kind of works? Or
yes, absolutely. I'm just looking for an object I can pick up. I'll use these glasses. So pick up, everyone watching from home. Most of usually I always say, and if you're in a car, well, actually it could be in a car. Anyway, if you're watching from home, do this with us. Pick up an object, a pencil, a pen, a paperclip, a coin. It doesn't really matter what. Glasses aren't ideal.
Oh, they're not? How about lipstick?
No. Lipstick is fine.
Lipstick is fine. Okay. Lipstick, ladies. Although, are we really wearing lipstick with having to wear masks?
I grabbed a pen. You'll see why in a minute. So for the sake of this analogy, this pen, or whatever you're holding in your hand, represents your fears, your frustrations, your limiting beliefs, your stories, anything that's causing you to contract and not move forward in your life. And your hand represents your gut or your awareness. Now grip the object really tightly with your hand. Now, if you did this long enough, it would get really uncomfortable, but it would also start to feel really familiar, because this is what we're doing all the time with our emotions and our limiting beliefs and thoughts and feelings. We're gripping them tightly. Now that's enough gripping. Now open your hand and roll the object around in your hand. Now, is this object attached to your hand? Really look, is it? No, of course not. But if you think about how you relate to life, it's even in our language. When we're angry, what do we usually say? I'm angry. Not I am the anger. And that's how it feels. Or if we're sad, we say, I'm sad. Because it feels like it is us. But every emotion that we have, every limitation that we experience is as attached to us as this object is attached to your hand. So now close your hand around the object, turn your hand upside down, and just drop it. That's how easy it can be to let go. Children do this naturally. We, unfortunately, train them out of it. And we also all do this naturally when we have a real belly laugh, when we're not, a little giggle, maybe not, but when we're really laughing about something, part of the reason it feels so good to laugh is because it's one of the things that are built into our system to help let off some of the steam. Well, you can learn to go much deeper than that, much wider than that, and have it on call from letting go with this process, with the Sedona method. And once you tap it, since it is natural, since we knew how to do this coming in, but we just forgot, once you reacquaint yourself with this, then what happens is it naturally comes through more and more in your life. Yes, the technique itself helps. And the more you do it, the more it helps. But because it's natural, you'll find that even once you've learned the technique and you've re-experienced that ability to let go, what happens is it comes in more and more in your life naturally, without effort, without struggle, without push, without pull. And it makes a huge difference, a huge difference. So one thing I would recommend that everyone just be open at least to the possibility of is that feelings are just feelings. They're not facts, and they're not you, and you can let them go. And the other thing with that you'll find really helpful, if you just take this for checking, take this to heart. You don't have to believe it, but just be open to it. Be open at least to the possibility that you have no limits except for the ones that you take on, the ones you believe you have. And if you can just be open to that what you are in actuality is this awareness, this beingness, this light, this truth that has no limits, you start to see it in your life. It starts to bleed through, and it influences your decision-making process. It influences how you feel, and it makes it easier to deal with life more effectively. And the more you let go, the more you're able to tap your clear reason and intuitive knowingness. That's natural. But again, when we're really lost in our dramas, we have so much noise going on in here and so much turmoil in our gut that we lose touch with our intuition and our clear reason. And
do you think those, I'm going to interrupt you for a second.
Oh,
so do you
sure.
think those reactions that we have, so okay, I know what it is for me, but do you think that as a whole, when we have these kinds of reactions, when we have these kinds of, I guess, limbic responses to certain triggers or certain things, that they have to do with past or have to do with childhood or trauma or things that we've been through? And does this process kind of help to undo that?
Yes, very dramatically, but in a very unusual way. You mentioned all this past trauma, and what happens with most people is they try to go back and re-experience and the trauma, thinking that if they re-experience it and really delve into it and understand it and taste it again and touch it again and feel it again, that will somehow be free of it. But what we found over the past 4+ decades is that if you need to know something about the past, it will come to you, and you deal with it. You don't deny it. You don't pretend you don't have that there was no past, even though there really wasn't. It's just a memory right now. But you don't pretend that. What you do is you deal with how you feel about it now. And when you let go at a deep enough level now, it clears the past away. And then you start having insights. You start to see what was with new eyes, with a brand new perspective that's easier, more alive, more relating to what is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so you don't need to get caught up in trying to figure out how to correct what was.
Mm-hmm.
You let go and then deal with what is. And I've seen people with long-standing fears, phobias, resentments, guilt, you name it, PTSD. I even released with someone who was at 9/11, and in one session, and they had been a basket case it was 6 weeks after 9/11. And they came to a seminar and we released on it, and they went from being so traumatized that they couldn't deal with it to feeling like, I can deal with this. I don't have to keep re-experiencing it. I don't have to be lost in it. I don't have to let it define the rest of my life. And so right now in our worlds, most of us are having mini 9/11s. Mm-hmm. Around us and even in our own personal experience. But no matter how challenging life is, if you're open to it, you can find a way to let go. And we here at Sedona Training Associates, the Sedona Method is a very gentle, simple, powerful way to cut through what's holding us back and find ways to just really let it go now.
I love this. And Ariel Ford, I for some reason I knew the two of you had a connection.
Yes.
And Ariel Ford
you look a little like Ariel.
Oh, Ariel, see, we can be sisters.
Yes, you look like you could be Ariel's sister. Yeah, Ariel is a fan and a friend.
Saying that you taught her how to achieve can I say this?
Imperturbable. How to achieve imperturbability. Yeah.
Happiness.
Hi, Ariel.
I love
She's fabulous.
So this is something that you teach, obviously, through the Sedona Method. And Tanya, if you're listening to me and my team is listening to me, let's go ahead and post Hale's website. Is it the SedonaMethod.com?
No, it's Sedona.com. Just
Sedona.
Simple Sedona.com.
Sedona.com. You're like able to own Sedona. The city of Sedona must like go crazy that you own Sedona.
They did originally. They got used to us.
Okay. And I'm curious, why the name's the Sedona Method?
Oh, years ago, the original name of it was Mind Freedom in this early 70s and into the late 70s, I think. And Sedona hadn't been discovered yet, but we owned property there. And the organization did. I didn't until much later. But and it shows you how to feel as good as you do in a beautiful place like that on vacation. And so we picked a name that we thought was, just kind of neutral as an alternative to the freeway, and not the freeway. I can't. Oh no, Mind Freedom. And anyway, but because I don't know if you remember Jonestown, 800 people committing suicide. So that was actually mind control, but people got confused. So we changed it to a neutral name. That's how it ended up with that name.
Sedona Method. I love it. Absolutely. Yeah. So what is the best way for people to really begin learning the process and practicing on their own? Because I'm going to be the first one in the door.
Well, there's several things that are, there's, first off, right now, we just put up, we have an hour and 8-minute movie that teaches some of the Sedona Method. It's also very entertaining. It's called Letting Go, the Sedona Method movie. And it's for, it's if you have an Amazon Prime account, it's a Prime movie, so it's free. Well, we also have a couple hundred videos on our the Sedona Method YouTube channel. And in a couple of weeks, we are going to be broadcasting a 6-session summary of our work in a very powerful way that we're doing completely for free. Because of what's going on in the world, we want people to be able to use this. And so to find out about that, you can go and sign up for our mailing list on Sedona.com. And also, if you follow us on Facebook, the Sedona Method on Facebook, not only do we post occasional videos there, there is also helpful content that's put up from Lester Levinson and myself daily. So those are all free resources that you can take advantage of right now. And, our programs are all digital at the moment. They're available digitally. So once you've been exposed to it, you can start using it right away, and maybe you'll want to go deeper with one of our programs. But there's so many free ways of accessing this intentionally, because again, in general, I've always really just wanted this to get out to the world, and right now even more so. So again, the movie that's on Amazon, there's several called Letting Go. There's even one called Letting Go. That's an older video that I don't recommend. I don't know why we use the same title twice, but we did it with another company. I forgot when I made the movie, and I used the same term because that's what this teaches. It teaches letting go. But the new one that just was posted yesterday, I think, on Amazon as on Amazon Prime, so it's free. It's called Letting Go, the Sedona Method movie, and I would watch it and check it out and see what you think.
That's what we're going to do tonight.
Good.
I think this is great, because what it sounds like to me is like, we're all looking right now, I think, for some kind of emotional balance or comfort. Or
totally.
How do we get through this crisis? And thank you, Janice, for posting that, Letting Go, the Sedona Method. And that's on Amazon Prime. And you can, of course, go to Sedona.com as well to get more information. But what I love about this is that it feels like a really instrumental step in allowing us, because we've got this, some people are working even harder now. I know we've been working like crazy and trying to scramble, and what are we doing and how are we taking our live events online? But even during that, it becomes so stressful. And it just like,
just because you're not going to another place to work doesn't mean the work stress ended. For many people, they're juggling their home and all the home responsibilities all day long while trying to run a business too, or to try to work for somebody else at home. And that's stressful. And what do you do about your children? And what do you, and it's craziness. You go out, every time you leave the house, you don't know if you're going to pick up something that could actually kill you, or you could give to someone who's, maybe you're so healthy, you're certain that you're invulnerable, but you probably know someone who isn't, and you'd hate to give it to them. So all that is just the level of stress involved in that all of us are dealing with is huge. But Lester said back when I first met him that there would be a period where the the world turmoil would get even more extreme than it appears now. And during that time, this process is here specifically for that, because it's so much what's needed. And it will be there to help people through this. And that's again why we just released the movie for free on Amazon Prime, why we are going to do a 6-session free event starts on the 10th of August. So it's something that will really help you if you're ready to let go.
Yes, I'm ready to let go. It's really interesting that you're doing this, that you're talking about this, because we have another program running right now, just very synchronistically called Let It Go, that Denise Lynn is teaching, and it's all about physical, emotional, and mental decluttering. And she's teaching all about how to physically declutter to be able to be, emotionally present. So it's kind of interesting that
everyone. I mean, again, when we first started teaching this back in the early 70s, we and the 12-step community were really the only people talking about letting go. Now everybody is an expert. Everyone. And it's wonderful, because that idea that it's important to let go is so timely. So anything you can do to support yourself in that is really helpful.
And I just love this, because it feels like I'm one of those people that I need to have steps. I need to know exactly like a how-to guide.
Right.
And that's what it sounds, is that this just sounds completely like a how-to guide.
It is. It is.
More emotionally free. And as Ariel Ford so eloquently said, impenetrable.
No, imperturbable. Which just means undisturbable, which is really important.
Got it. Imperturbable happiness.
Yes.
I love that. Okay, somebody on my team posted a really, really long link here, and I'm not quite sure what that link was for, but I'm sure you'll tell us. But that might be to our Facebook page or to the video, I have a feeling.
I have no idea.
Yes.
That's from your. I don't think anyone on my team is watching.
I know. All they're like scrolling with stuff and posting URLs and getting video details. So does anybody have any questions while we've got Hale here for another couple of minutes? So go ahead and post your questions. And there's a little bit of a delay, so you and I will schmooze until people ask some questions. But that's the movie. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you. If anybody has any questions right now, but I love this feeling of being able to, this was perfect, picking this up, squeezing it, and then just releasing it. And it can be that easy. And it just can be that easy. Leslie,
yes, it really can.
Me. I know Leslie, right? This totally agrees with me too. It just feels a way out of the monkey brain, the mental chatter, the continuous making up stories about why this person did that, and why this person did this, and why that. And it's just like, wow, getting through.
Right. Again, it's
life is.
If you just really look, you'll find that there is a part of you that's aware of all this craziness, yet is already free, already whole, already enough, already complete. And it's always shining through. We just get so lost in our stories about what was and what might be, and our reactions to what appears to be, that we don't notice, recognize, and be what is. And what is exquisite. It really is. Yes, of course, there's turmoil on the surface. But just like with an ocean, there are waves on the surface of an ocean. But even if there's a big storm with 50-foot waves, you go down 100 feet under the ocean, you'd never know. Well, we are like the ocean. We're actually like water. And it can take all sorts of forms. But if you, at its core, it's whole, it's complete, it's enough. And does the ocean stress over all the waves on the surface? Of course not. It just watches. It just is.
Mm.
And the more you find that what is the term for that? It's not shelter in the storm. Maybe that's good. You all already have an inner shelter within your own heart that can weather any storm. Already is perfectly. But you can become more aware of it as you pay attention and you allow yourself to just let go and open to what's real, to what's true, to what's now. And it's actually easier than it appears. The title of the free event we're doing on the 10th is Letting Go Made Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all want to have those easy steps, those easy ways to, because, and I'm sure I speak for everybody who's watching and listening right now. We've all done a lot of work on ourselves.
Yes. Yes.
And
I'm sure.
there's still, at least for myself, I can speak for myself. I've done a lot of work on myself, but there's still, I notice these responses to situations that have nothing to do with who I am.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
And afterwards we're going,
what the fuck was that? Okay.
yeah. And that doesn't help.
Letting go for dummies. Oh, Leslie, that's great.
That would be another good title, except you don't have to be dumb. You can be smart and let go too. In fact, it's the smartest thing you can do is to let go of all that excess baggage. And it feels good too. Feels really good.
Okay, someone said, I can't find the movie. There's only the old 2011 one. Maybe it's not.
Yes, that was originally made in 2011. We're just putting it on Prime now. We were just selling it as a DVD. It wasn't available.
It's not out there yet. Hold on a second. I'm going to switch.
No, it is. It is there. The one that the 2011 movie is the one we just released on Prime.
Oh, okay. So it is the 2000. So the 2011 one is correct.
Is correct. Yes.
Okay, so that's the correct one, you guys.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, that's the one.
Yes, that's the one.
Okay, good. Perfect. Oh my goodness, this has been a wonderful conversation.
Yeah, it's been fun.
So glad that we got to do this today because I'm very, very curious about this. I've been very, very intrigued with what you're doing, and you're going to see me in there, signed up.
Yeah, good. I look forward to it.
Thank you. So stick around for just a second, Hale.
Okay.
Thank you all so much for tuning in. This has been such a fantastic conversation. We've been talking with Hale Dwoskin today, the creator of the Sedona Method, along with Lester Levinson. Is that correct? Levinson.
Yes, that's Levinson. Yes.
That's Jewish boy. I love that name. And so check everything out on Sedona.com and make sure and take a look at that movie, because if you're a member of Amazon Prime, it's free for you. And it's called Letting Go. So take a look at that. And then on August 10th, he's starting a free 6-series class. So take a look at that as well. Oh, Janice says, such a dear man.
Thank you. And thank you all for watching. It's been a pleasure sharing this time with you.
I feel like we've been talking just for 5 minutes. It's so interesting.
Oh, I know. And we went over. I thought we were supposed to stick to it half an hour.
I know. I had to because I was so interested in what you're talking about.
Good.
All right. Stay right there, Hale. And thank you all so much for tuning in. And we'll see you soon. Mwah.
Bye.